Awesome is such an overused word these days. They use it for everything from bug spray to pancake mix. But sometimes the word applies, particularly in this case. The 427 Cobra is, for want of a better word, awesome. Its raw acceleration, its ability to turn corners at any speed, and to stop just as suddenly, puts it among the top 3 or 4 racing cars ever built. On the street, well, there aren't many words to describe it. The 427 Cobra was created in the best American muscle car tradition of taking the biggest engine you could find and putting it in your lightest car. The story of how the Cobra came into being parallels the story of road racing in America, and one man who built a little car company into an American legend, Carroll Shelby.
This is a man who, when he was born, started looking at automobiles. He used to ride his bicycle down to the local racetrack to see what was going on. It was his passion. There's nothing better when a bright man, his passion, his avocation, his vocation are all the same thing. And we all benefited from that because he just loved automobiles.
In the late 50s and early 60s, as road racing was gathering momentum in the U.S., there were a handful of American racers that were helping put the sport on the map. Unfortunately, for American fans, there weren't many American cars to cheer for. Except for a few hand-built specials, most of the racing cars came from Great Britain, Italy, and Germany. Carroll Shelby was intent on doing something about this.
There aren't many men who have come, particularly in recent times, to the forefront of the automobile industry and built their own car and done it successfully. There's a lot of men on the side of the road who built their own car and done it unsuccessfully. Carroll Shelby was successful.
Shelby's Cobra was born in England in the early 50s as the AC Bristol with a 90-horsepower 4-cylinder engine. But Shelby had a vision of a sports car that was a little more potent. By the time he was done, the Bristol had a new name, Cobra, and it now packed some real heat.
When Carroll Shelby started producing Cobras, he took a defunct British car, put a Ford engine in it, and said, "This'll work."
Under Shelby's direction, the small staff at Shelby American transformed the little underpowered Bristol into the quintessential American race car. Each car was hand-built, and legend has it that there are no two Cobras alike. Unfortunately, we'll never know if that part of the legend is true. Between 1962 and 1967, Shelby made just 1,011 Cobras, most with the high-winding 289 engine. Of the 50 or so 427 Cobras ever made, only 3 are known to exist today. The sad part of that is very few people will ever know the joy of owning an original Shelby Cobra. But thousands of people today are paying tribute to the man and his car by building their own Cobra or buying a Y2K version of this legendary automobile. To understand why people still wait in line to get a car whose design is over 40 years old, we'll have to look at the real thing. We'll do that when the American muscle car returns. The first Shelby Cobra was born in February 1962, when a Bristol body and chassis was shipped from the AC Cars factory in Surrey, England, to Carroll Shelby in Los Angeles. In less than 8 hours, Shelby's mechanics had installed a Ford 260 V8 and 4-speed transmission, and were on the street looking for Corvettes. Within a year, Shelby had upgraded the car's engine to the new Ford 289. And the car now had everything that was on sports car lovers' wish lists. Light, agile, and extremely responsive, the Cobra was almost immediately successful on the U.S. road racing circuit. The Cobra was the perfect example of form follows function. It was a racing car, pure and simple. Anything that didn't help the car go faster or handle better just wasn't there. It had an aluminum body, 2 seats, a steering wheel, a racing suspension system, and as much horsepower as could be packed under its hood. Creature comforts were nowhere to be found on this car's option list.
Well, there's no question that the car was built for racing and then modified to be on the street, to be street legal. And by modified, I mean very little. There are no windows on the side. There's no top. There's no way to get out of the weather. The seats are way down low and bolted to the floor. There are no springs in them. This is a car where if there's a bump in the road, you're going to feel it. At 75 miles an hour, who cares?
By November of 1962, 8 copies of the Cobra had been built, and the car had been approved for racing competition. This was all Carroll Shelby had been waiting for. By 1963, the Cobra, with a 289 engine, had won 3 road racing titles and had a top 40 hit record besides. And somehow, in the middle of all this racing, Shelby American had managed to make about 200 hand-built street versions, which stickered for $59.95. The Street Cobra's short option list included a few chrome dress-up items, an AM radio, and a heater. But everything most people wanted in the Cobra was included in the base price. But in December of 1963, a 427 Ford engine, which had been sitting around in the corner of Shelby's race shop, somehow wound up inside a Cobra Roadster. This shot of brute horsepower turned the Cobra into the fastest American-made sports car ever, and one of the world's fastest cars, period. To find an original 427 Shelby Cobra these days, you have to look in places like the DuPont Registry, a marketplace for classic and ultra big-ticket automobiles. Automotive publisher and collector car authority Thomas DuPont regards the 427 Cobra as one of the most exciting cars in the DuPont collection.
This is a wonderful example of the Cobra. It's a 427 big block side oiler. It's got side pipes on it. It's got big wide tires on it. One of the interesting parts about this car is where the gas tank is and where the gas filler is. When some of the original Cobras were designed, they had a racing-style gas cap in the fender. If you went around the corner too fast, the gas would just leap right up the filler pipe and right out the side and all over the side of the car. It wasn't thought of as a really good idea for those people who like paint and finish on their automobiles. So they started to modify it. One of the ways they modified it is they just went in the trunk, cut the filler neck off, and refilled the body on the outside and put the cap in the trunk. They forgot that you might have to put a gasoline handle up underneath somewhere. So if you go into a big filling station with one of these great big handles on it, you got a real problem. It doesn't quite make it. One of the interesting parts about this car and Cobras in general is they're very hot when they're running. If you're wearing sneakers, your feet are going to get hot. It's a very thin aluminum firewall between you and the engine. And if you step outside the door on this car and you manage to put your pant leg too close to the side pipes coming out the side after the car's been running, it can get pretty toasty and melt the polyester in your socks. They're flat, low riding. They're not built for 6'9" guys, but they're a blast. They sound great, and they'll go from stop to full speed in a heartbeat.
In its short 5-year lifespan, Shelby's little Cobra would race wheel-to-wheel with the world's most exotic cars. In addition to the Roadster, Shelby also created the Daytona Coupe and a lightning-fast mid-engine version called the King Cobra. The Cobra's battles against its bitter rival from Detroit, the Corvette, are part of America's sports car racing heritage. But without a doubt, the Cobra's greatest legacy is its legion of devoted fans. During the 60s, hundreds of thousands of young sports car lovers watched the Cobras on the track and dreamed of one day owning one of their own. But Shelby never made enough to go around. So in the same spirit that created the Cobra in the beginning, these Cobra lovers made their own.
It was kind of a boyhood dream when I grew up in the era of the Shelby Cobras. And got to the age a few years ago where I wanted my dream car.
We'll see the dream and meet some people who made their dream come true when the American muscle car returns. If you ever see a Cobra on the street, don't bother asking if it's an original. It probably isn't. You see, with only 1,000 ever built, well, they're sort of rare. Just to illustrate, this line of Cobra replicas is more cars than Shelby American Racing turned out in their first year of building Cobras. That's not good news for people who have a passion to own a real Cobra today. But Cobra lovers will all tell you the same thing. When you have a passion for this car, the only fix is to own one.
Well, I decided I wanted to do it about 15 years ago when I saw an original one, and I probably, like anybody else, said someday I will own one of these things.
For years, would-be Cobra owners were just out of luck, unless their budget could accommodate a car that cost almost $500,000. But now there's some relief for their condition, thanks to a few companies who are helping people achieve their dream. Brett Everett is Vice President of Engineering for one of these companies.
It's a rare, exotic car. The originals maybe go from $300,000 to $500,000. It's completely beyond the reach of an average person. So what you can do with a kit car, it puts this exotic car within the reach of the average guy.
The originals are so far out of reach financially to a lot of people. I felt that that's the best way to go about it is to get a replica.
Today's Cobra replica can be a faithful reproduction of the original piece, with correct weights and dimensions, exact body contours, and right-on copies of the frame and suspension. Well-engineered Cobra replicas have recreated the look and the excitement of the original car. By substituting less expensive fiberglass for a mega-dollar aluminum body and updating a few braking and handling pieces for safety's sake, a Cobra replica can be an affordable fulfillment for this long-awaited dream. For some, like Steve and Carroll Holbrook, this is a dream shared between husband and wife.
I've been with my husband since high school, and he loved them then. We had friends that had one even way back then. It was relatively new then, 67, 66, and it's always been his dream, and I just kind of rode with it. And finally the kids are grown, and it's time for Mom and Dad to play, and there it is.
Once people have achieved their dream of ownership, they find another pleasant side benefit, the brotherhood of the Cobra. Today's Cobra owners enjoy a special fellowship through their love for the car and its heritage, and through the common experience of building one.
It was really nice. I pulled up, and guys came over and offered cleaning solutions and rags, and started cleaning on the car and helping me. Never knew the guy before in my life.
You know, everybody seems to have the dream. You know, everybody's classified as wanting one or wanting to know what it is. And then there's the ones that get them started and really can't finish their dream. Then there's the ones like here today that have had an opportunity, by the grace of God, I guess, to be able to finish theirs. And it really becomes a family.
Building one of these cars can be just as exciting as owning and driving it. Starting with a dream and a bare chassis, the Cobra lover's imagination takes over as the car takes shape. Just as in the early days, today's Cobras are individual works of art, and no two are alike.
We did things a little bit different on our car than you see on a lot of other Cobras, but each one of us does things different. So every Cobra's a little bit different and pulls out the I guess your personalities or whatever.
But just making the decision to build your own car can be traumatic. We'll see whether this is a good idea or not when the American muscle car returns. If every muscle car owner had to build their dream car from the ground up instead of buying it in one shiny running piece, there would probably be fewer of them on the road today. It is a testament to the love people have for the Cobra that so many people choose to build their own. Fortunately, many of today's Cobra kits have engineered much of the stress out of building the car. Still, though, there are some precautions that need to be observed.
I probably was ready to make one of the biggest mistakes, and that is not to investigate companies, not just the quality of their product, but how they treat their customers once they've walked out the door, whether they're buying a turnkey or buying other pieces from them.
The first decision prospective car builders should make is how much of the construction they actually want to do themselves. These days, some companies will do most, if not all of the construction, according to the customer's needs. The old joke about needing a degree in mechanical engineering isn't true anymore.
This is one car we're kind of proud of. It's got a lot of nice components on. Aluminum block 427 engine. Very high horsepower engine. I believe it's been dyno tested about 650 horsepower. Tubular front suspension with the coilover shocks for adjustable ride height and spring rate. You'll notice it has the real knockoff wheel spinners, 12-inch brakes with the racing type calipers on them. Your radiator is an aluminum high efficiency unit for adequate cooling of the big engine. Has a high flow electric fan on it. We're running the Richmond 5-speed transmission. That's a very heavy-duty 5-speed transmission. It has a 1 to 1/5 gear and a very aggressive first gear, so you can get very good acceleration off the line performance, and at the same time use perhaps a 3.0 rear end ratio for good highway economy. The rear end is a 9-inch Ford-based, fully independent. We have the nodular 9-inch center section here. The geometry of the suspension is pretty much like a Jaguar. It has a lower arm with a trailing link, the dual coilover shocks, similar to the Jaguar suspension. The inboard disc brakes, these are 11-inch ventilated disc brakes. Again, we have the real pin drive spinner for the wheels.
If a person does decide to do most of the work him or herself, they find out quickly that it's a lot of fun and a lot of work. But a project like this can be a creative exercise and good old-fashioned garage therapy. Greg Balkanoff built his Cobra from the ground up and had a great time doing it.
When you have a stressful job, it's just great to get out on the weekends and maybe turn some wrenches and create something, which I thought was great to do. And I knew the project would be nice at the end, and it's a sports car, one of the only true muscle sports cars left, I think, and I really enjoyed it.
Jeff Adler doesn't claim any special mechanical skills, but the Cobra he built is as close to the original racing Cobras as he could make it.
I'm really not mechanically inclined. I didn't do any of the internal engine stuff. I had somebody do that, but to drop a motor in and just place bolts where bolts are supposed to go, it really is simple.
Above all, there's no substitute for experience. Those who have built a Cobra are happy to share their experiences with people who are thinking about taking on this project.
Go to some of your major car shows and talk to some of the people that have already built cars and get an education that way. It's up to the individual, and a lot of individuals don't have the time, they have the ability or whatever, and then, if you do have the ability, it's a great project for the weekends or evenings or whatever.
And finally, when it's all done, the payoff is one of the most exciting moments in a Cobra lover's life, as Ham Todd recalls.
The day that I picked it up, I'll never forget the morning that I rode up, because it was the first time I'd actually seen it all together, raring to go, and seeing it sitting out front with about 5 or 6 guys polishing it, and it was sitting there idling, and it was just kind of a, there it is.
Not many real-life experiences live up to people's expectations, but a ride in a 427 Cobra comes way high up on the short list of those that do. When you finally get a chance to jump in a Cobra and take it for a ride, it's a feeling that very few cars ever made can equal. That's when people start using the A word.
The car is awesome. A lot of horsepower, a lot of torque. Something like the Viper. However, the Viper, I think, takes it to one more step as far as civility.
The Cobra is a car that will literally do just about anything you ask it to. Driving this car is a no-limits experience that was once reserved for race drivers and fighter pilots. In a car like this, one needs to be extra careful, especially in the rain.
It's a little hairy when it's raining, and a lot of hairy when it's raining a lot, because it ain't got no top.
A few modern supercars today offer a little more refinement, maybe a smoother ride along with performance. But part of the Cobra's appeal is its down and dirty approach to going fast. While the Viper might be a sharp instrument, the Cobra is a hammer.
The Viper, basically, you look down at the gauge as far as how fast you're going, and you can't believe you're over 120, 130 miles an hour. This one, you feel it.
People who have built their own Cobra will tell you that the excitement of the project comes in stages. There's the initial quickening of the heartbeat when you first see the car, the lump in the throat when you decide to do one of your own, and the long hours in the garage, punctuated by flashes of delight when something you fabricated turns out better than you expected. But when you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, when your baby is about ready to roll out, that's when the excitement reaches its peak. After 5 years of working on his Cobra, this is where Andy Bachwick is right now.
40 years I've lusted about cars. I've never done anything with cars before except maybe change my own oil. And a friend of mine built one of these. I saw it, and as soon as I saw it one day, the light went on, and I said, that's what I got to do. Now that the kids have gone and the dog has died, I look for something to spark those creative juices once again, and this is really wonderful. And I love acceleration, and the exhilaration of acceleration. I think this is going to do it for me. I mean, just look at that car. I mean, that looks like it's speeding as it's standing.
Andy's even got his first ride in the car all planned out.
I'm going to take my best girl for a ride. I mean, I'm just going to enjoy it. I plan to drive the pants off of it and drive it all the time.
Maybe it's not just the Cobra that's awesome. Maybe the owners are a little bit awesome themselves. You gotta admit, they sure look like they're having fun. Thanks for watching. And remember, don't crush them, restore them.